What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, the Blue Meeple here, coming at you with a new segment for the Lone Star Meeple podcast called the Blue Top 2. So this is going to be a monthly segment where I consider all the games that I played in the previous month, and I'm going to pick the two that I enjoyed the most out of everything that I played. Could be a Kickstarter, could be new games, could be old games. I may even throw a video game every once in a while in there. But out of everything I played in the previous month, I'm going to talk about the two that I enjoyed the most, what I liked about them, and take it from there. So, with that being said, let's get into it. So, last month was a little light on gaming for me and my group. A couple people. The other two meeples are in the process of moving. So, getting together was a little difficult. And then, on top of all the other craziness going on, but we did manage to get together and play a few things. One of my favorites that I played was a Kickstarter that I received, and that, of course, is Bloodborne, the board game. So I will say I'm going to be a little biased with this one because I happen to really be a huge fan of the Bloodborne video game. The board game is kind of in the same vein as Dark Souls, the board game, Resident Evil, the board game. It's a dungeon crawler / campaign-esque type of situation. But I think this one actually takes those elements of like Resident Evil, the board game, and Dark Souls, the board game, and makes it way better. Way better. So the combat in this game, so it's a campaign style game, and one of the things I like about it actually is they're actually a series of mini campaigns. So the game has decks of cards, and each deck is 3 chapters. Once you finish all 3 of those chapters, you've essentially finished a campaign. And then you can choose to move on to the next one, and you carry over your character as things go on, which is nice because there's a nice progression system where you can see and feel your character improving over time from mission to mission and from campaign to campaign. And it's one of those progressions where it's not like over the top, like you're not just shooting up there, and it's also not too slow. I think it's very, very good balance. Combat in this game is way improved from, especially Resident Evil, the board game. But the combat in this, I like it because it's more of a tactical kind of feel. Everything is card-based, and you're essentially playing cards down to slots in your weapons to perform attacks. And those cards might modify the attack somehow, give you a special benefit, extra damage, or the ability to draw another card or something along those lines. It's kind of similar to what Gloomhaven does with card-driven kind of combat. And it's got a deck builder element to it. So as you're progressing through the game and defeating enemies, getting blood echoes, you're able to go and get stronger, better cards. And the fun thing about it is every card you put in, one goes out. So your deck will never be more than 12 cards, always. So it's nice, and like you can kind of swap in and out, as you start to realize and feel out your play style. You could say, you know what, I didn't get that much use out of this one. Let's pitch it, put that one in there. Component-wise, the game is amazing. It's CMON, so of course it's going to be really good components. But the player boards and like the monster board and everything, the tiles, they have like this nice like linen kind of gloss finish to it. And we cannot talk about a CMON game if we don't talk about the minis. The minis in this game are amazing. Amazing. They look really good. They look very close to form to what was in the video game. They definitely scale well. Like, that's going to get a little blurry, but so like when you have your mini on the map, like you could see like those big towering beasts on there. We're a couple of games into it. It is definitely one I enjoyed and one that I definitely anticipate on playing through quite a bit. Unfortunately, I didn't go all in on it. I almost did. I went like halfway in on it. This started to get a little pricey, so I was kind of went like halfway on it. But so far, it's been pretty good. I've been really enjoying it, and definitely is going to make one of the Blue Top 2 for this month. Second one is Century Golem Edition and Endless World. So this is the newest game in the line of the Century games, the Golem editions. And I will just start this off by saying I really prefer the Golem editions to the original Century Spice, even like the original Century Spice Road. The Golem edition of it, it's basically the same exact thing, but for some reason it just feels way better. You have the acrylic gems instead of the cubes. The artwork is, flashier, more colorful. It's much nicer. So I definitely enjoy the Golem versions a lot better than the standard Century Spice. But that game is a worker placement style game. Point wise, you're pretty much doing the same thing. You're trying to trade and collect various gems and things like that to trade them in to get point cards. But what this does, it adds an element of, instead of just taking a card, or you put a worker out on a board, and then you take the effect of that. So that might be take gems, exchange, upgrade, things like that. There are areas on the board that start locked out, and as you get these point cards, you may or may not, you get the ability to unlock those areas, which gets you a benefit from unlocking it, and now it's available for everybody to go to. This game does something in worker placement that I tend to like, is if you go to a spot, you're not necessarily completely blocking somebody from going there. So if I have 2 workers in a place, if it costs 2 workers to go there, I put my 2 workers. Anybody else can go there, except it's going to cost 1 additional worker, and so on and so forth. So eventually it'll be very, very expensive, but if you really need that spot, then you still have the option to do it, but you're going to be kind of foregoing other things you could do on your turn. So you got to make that decision. Do I want to use the extra workers to do this now, or wait until they collect their workers back and rest to open up the space for me to go then? Is there other things I can do? This game adds an element of set collection to it, so it's not just like the other games where you're just collecting cards, counting points, and yay, we're done. This one adds set collection to it. It adds, the additional tiles that you get as bonus tiles for like unlocking certain areas, and those can be points, or those can be extra symbols that you're trying to collect that will add up to points. So overall, I really enjoyed this one. I think it's got a much higher level of strategy, and it's one of those games where the depth to, I guess, the complexity to strategy ratio is really good. Like, it's not overly complex. It's very simple, easy to teach, easy to pick up. But the strategy behind what you do, where you go, what sets you're going to go for, what areas do I want to unlock? I don't really need that space. I'm going to leave it alone, but do I want the tile? There's a lot to think about, from turn to turn. And surprisingly, the turns, even with all that, are still pretty quick. We played a 2-player game, and we were just boom, 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 back and forth. So that one is another one I really enjoyed. I see myself getting a lot more plays of that one in there. Just an honorable mention, Lost Ruins of Arnak. If you haven't played it, check it out. Definitely a very cool game. But that's what I got for you this month. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your 2 favorite games were this month. And we'll talk to you next time. Until then, peace.